Hello, welcome to the Katherine Cook Show. I'm a leadership coach and I love listening to people's stories, finding out what inspires them and what's pushed them to go further. Some of my friends have called me brave because they say things about me moving around the country or starting my own business or the show. But I tell them, I don't know if it's necessarily that I'm brave so much as I don't see there's another choice. But I thought about it one day and there is a choice. I could curl up in a ball and I could not try, but then what's the fun in that? What's really inspired me is the hope that things can get better and that I know I am so much better today and can do things today that I couldn't do years ago. So what about you? What's your greatest inspiration? Today I have with me a guest who knows a lot about finding inspiration from a number of different sources and now is an inspiration to many. Welcome, Billy V.
Thank you so much, Katherine. Great introduction.
Thank you. How are you doing?
Doing good, doing good.
Good. Now, where do you live?
I live right now in Johnston, Rhode Island.
Oh, okay.
I grew up in Providence. I used to tease it now, the bowels of Providence. No, I'm like in Silver Lake, which is a part of Providence. I grew up most of my life there.
Okay.
So it was a lot of fun. It was very interesting as I look back, and it was a great time. Things were simple.
All right. And now you are an actor. You are an entrepreneur with your own sports marketing firm, and you are an avid car collector, and you've done radio shows and TV shows. So what do you have against sleep?
I figure it this way. We're going to be dead a long time. So why sleep now?
Okay, that's a good point.
You know, so I have a lot to get to, and I mean, I have a lot of goals and dreams that you still yet, because when you stop dreaming, I believe you start to die.
You know what? I read Sidney Poitier's book, and he said something very similar.
Really? Great guy.
Oh, and great book. But back to you. So how did you get your start in acting?
Well, acting started not so much as an accident, but more so a reflection. Funny enough itself, a little over 7 years ago, I was faced with a life crisis.
Okay.
I was going sail fishing with the time my dear friend Jim McMahon, who was the quarterback, two-time Super Bowl champion for the Chicago Bears, and we're going to go sail fishing over in Key West. And I had a pain in my neck, and it was bothering me. And funny enough itself, I went to see the doctor, a friend of mine, and I said, listen, forget x-rays, let's just do an MRI and see what this is all about, because I'm going to catch 400-pound sailfish. I want to be able to reel them in. So he says, okay, let's do the MRI. He does the MRI, and he comes back. He says, Billy, you've got a mass on your thyroid. I said, what are you talking about? What's a mass? I never even heard that word before. I never knew what it was. I says, is it cancer? What is it? He says, I don't know. So at that point in time, all of a sudden, my life started to spiral. So at that time, I wasn't sure what to do. And I got referred to Leahy Clinic up in Boston. And I went to see a great doctor by the name of Dr. Peter Catalano, which was the head of otolaryngology at Leahy Clinic. And he ran some tests on me, and he came back in and he said, listen, you got a mass growing in your neck the size of a plum.
Oh.
And as far as, I says, is it cancerous? He says, I got to be honest with you, I don't know. As far as I know, it's growing quickly and rapidly.
Yeah.
And I got to treat it aggressively, so I need to operate. He says, so you may want to go home and do wills and property distributions.
Oh.
Just to be on the safe side, because I will not know till I open you up and to see it affect your lymph nodes. So when he said that to me, I says, you talking to me? I was like, the room all of a sudden became very small, and I became very focused. Me do a will and property distribution?
Yeah.
This can't be. And he says, yeah, just in case, because I'm not sure what's going to happen. So I went home, and believe it or not, before I went home, I went to the cafeteria with my wife at the time, and I had a certain reflection. I was unhappy with my marriage, and there was a couple of inspirations I wanted to still yet to try in my life, if my life was going to get cut short. And I sat her down and I said, listen, I have to be honest with you. If I succeed over this, I need a divorce.
Wow.
After 15 years, and she looked at me like, what? Your time of despair, you're telling me you want a divorce? I says, well, I have to be honest with you, because this is it. If this is the final curtain, I got to live and die with no regrets. So I told her I needed a divorce, and the other one was acting. And sure enough, fast forward a little bit here, not to get so dragged on, but I went through the operation. I had to wait 9 weeks to find out the results when they cut me open, if it was benign or if it was cancer. And thank God it came back benign. At that point there, I applied for my divorce, and I also decided I was going to be an actor.
Okay, so that is brave. You're looking at, you may die, and you decide that you're going to make such huge changes. I mean, a divorce is a big deal.
Yes.
That's, wow, that's a heck of a getting into acting story.
Well, you know what it is? If you're going to meet the maker, you know, and unfortunately, as far as I was unhappy with my marriage, and also I had a beautiful daughter, Victoria, I didn't want her to know me as a cheating father.
Yeah.
And I wanted to come clean with myself, and at the same time, I needed a clear conscience in life. So that was one of the reasons why I asked for the divorce at that point in time.
Okay.
And then as far as being an actor was something I always wanted to do. I unfortunately I had to put bread on the table, be a provider. I got caught up with trying to chase my dreams, and I made great success moves. But acting was something that was a challenge I always wanted to try to be, because I liked it because it was forever. What I mean by that, when you make film, it's not a one-shot deal, it's captured. And it's captured on film. And I always thought it would be great that my life's work, I have 2 children, my son and my daughter, if I wasn't here, they could at least see what I've done or share with them, their grandkids or their children. And so I said, you know what? And it was a great challenge at my age. You know, I'm 56 years old now. You're talking, I was 49 at the time when I first got into acting. And, you know, as you get a little older, you get a little rusty. Your mind gets a little lazy.
Yes.
You know, and to remember my phone number at times today is difficult. That's why I have cards. But to remember lines, it was a great challenge to occupy my mind, and something to be able to take words that somebody has written and blow air into the lungs of that page and make that character come alive. That's what I really, really wanted to do.
And you know what? The process of acting too, memorizing the lines, you're building synapses in the brain that are strengthening which are strengthening your brain muscles, which are actually, I believe there are a lot of studies that if you're doing that kind of work, can really push off Alzheimer's and all sorts of other things. So you're keeping yourself young too. Well,
that's the great challenge. That's the best part of acting, especially when you got, you know, I try not to get pigeonholed into certain characters, which as far as I know, the organized crime guy, I've done a lot with that, between Fedora's Web Mob series and different movies, By the Gun with Harvey Keitel and different mobster roles. But I also like the diversity. I've done horror films where I died 3 times. I come back from the dead 3 times, 3 different ways. So it's a great challenge because it gives you a chance to really explore the mind and explore the body. You know, because acting is not just reciting lines. It's a matter of living that character, being that person, and understanding what took place before, after, during, and where it's going.
So what is the most fun role you've played?
I'll tell you, the most exciting and fun role, which I've had the pleasure of working with such great people, as far as I worked on the Showtime series Brotherhood. I did as far as Body of Proof on Tuesday nights. I was on network television with Dana Delaney and Sonia Sohan. I've done major as far as motion picture with guys like Christian Bale. I've worked with Harvey Keitel, By the Gun. And, you know, I've worked with so many legendary guys. I've been on set with Tom Cruise and Cameron Diaz. But the most fun I ever had was when Chad Verdi and Tom DiNucci, which is an up-and-coming director as well as a great talent on his own, and Chad Verdi with Woodhaven Productions came to me and said, listen, we're doing a horror film. And I did a film for them called Self-Storage along with Eric Roberts.
Okay.
And I worked alongside Jonathan Silverman. He's known for A Weekend in Bernie's.
Yes, I know who he is.
Great actor all on his own. And I did that film with them along with Eric and Michael Berryman. And they asked me after I did that film to do this other film called Army of the Damned, which I worked alongside one of the best horror icons to our era is Tony Todd. Tony Todd played Candyman. It was a very horrific horror film, which he looks in the mirror and goes, Candyman, Candyman, Candyman. He had a hook on his hand, and he's done like about 222 films. He did Platoon, he did Star Trek.
Okay.
So I work alongside of him through the whole second half of the movie, side by side. But what made this interesting is when Tom came to me, he says, Billy, I got a role for you. But the thing is, it doesn't have a boatload of lines. But it had a boatload of action. So when you're an actor, you have to push your ego to the side for a minute and be a team player and look at what your end result is. So when he gave me that script, I looked at it, and sure enough, there wasn't a boatload of lines. But it gave me a chance because I died 3 times in the film. And every time I die, I got to come back crazier and wilder than I did the time before.
Okay.
So it was a great way, because never in my life would I ever think that I could do a film and do what I want to do.
Okay.
I'll tell you one example real quick with that. You know, in the film, we're filming a scene. It's 4 o'clock in the morning, the last shoot of the day. And in the basement, we have Michael Berryman, who was a horror icon. He did One Who Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
Great.
We got to chase him. I was on Tom Paolino, nice, great actor, local actor, myself, and Tony Todd. So we're lined up. We got to chase Michael Berry into the corner. He's going to blow us up in the end. So we're going down this hallway. It's 4 o'clock in the morning. Before he yells action, we're exhausted. All of a sudden, Michael Berryman starts to scream. We start to scream and yell nonsense. I felt like I was in the football huddle once again. And all of a sudden, we come alive. He goes, action. So the first take, Michael Berryman runs. There goes Tom Paolino. There goes Tony Todd. There goes me. We catch him. He blows us up. We do a second take. Michael Berryman lines up once again. There's Tom Paolino, Tony Todd. But when I ran by the hallway, the wall we got to take a left at, I noticed there's a hole about this big.
Okay.
I says, what do I got to do here? I'm sharing the screen with 2 guys that are well-known, iconic guys. Michael Berryman, who did The Hills Have Eyes. He's bald-headed, as well as Tony Todd, Candyman. I got to make a choice here, as actors do. So as he yells action, we start running. There goes Michael Berryman. There goes Tom Paolino. There goes Tony Todd. But Billy V runs through the whole wall. I take the whole wall down, lock, stock, barrel.
Nice.
The petitions come down. I run right through the wall. Nobody knew I was doing it. And he goes, cut, that was unbelievable. He says, I never thought anybody could run through the wall. Now let's do it for real. And that was a choice I made as an actor, and that was one of the greatest times. At 4 o'clock in the morning, I ever had what a great bunch of guys on set.
Okay.
So that was one of the most memorable times.
Nice.
Yes.
Nice. And having done sports, I'm sure that's probably one of the only ways you could do that.
I had a lot of names running through my head. There was a lot of aggression going into that, knocking that wall down. So that was a lot of fun.
Okay.
Then I had the chance, you talk about another great time, was a series I did called Fedoras, which brought me back to my upbringing, which is a web mob series. And I played Don Nino Paticello, which I was the boss of all bosses.
Okay.
Set in the 1930s, written and directed by Dana Wine and John Fiore. I work alongside guys like Bobby Kenny, which is a dear friend of mine, great actor, as well as Danny Lieberman and Jimmy Panjatis. But I got a chance to call on a lot of my upbringing, which on my upbringing, I grew up from Silver Lake. My father died when I was 8. I had a stepfather, unfortunately, he was abusive. He thought my name was Everlast till I got old enough, and unfortunately, I had to give him a lesson or two. But fast forward that, I had a chance to play pro football with my career.
Okay.
And I lost my career through a knee injury, and unfortunately, as far as I was forced to get out of football and come back home. But in doing that, I got lost because my identifiable image at that point in time was lost. And I liked the mob, the whole scenario, as far
Right,
as
the
the mob
Godfather,
says, you know what I mean?
Bronx
You gotta remember, I
Tale.
grew up, and I'll tell you, part of my acting when I was a kid, 17 years old, I used to stand with my grandfather's fedora on my shoulders and with leather gloves and a hat in front of my mother's mirror. Going, yeah, baby, I offer you can't refuse. But whoever thought all the years later that I'd be living a real life scenario and selling my soul to the devil. And sure enough, I'll never forget it. It came to a point where every day became a challenge. I've seen a lot of things that I shouldn't have. At the same time, I participated in stuff that I shouldn't have, and I saw stuff that the guys talk about, and it's just part of the daily life as a wannabe, so to speak. And I had, unfortunately, a great guy, which I can't remember, mention his name, but one of the mob bosses, and he came to me and he says, "Hey, kid, Billy, you're a good kid. You got a big heart. You got a lot to give. This ain't for you." And I'll never forget that, because I left that day thinking about that. And I said, here's a guy that's 2 times my age, and he has a reflection, and it's not what it's all about. It's not that whole glamorized situation that you see on TV. He lived the real thing, and he's just telling me, listen, kid, you got a shot at life. And I'll never forget that, because I left there, but fast forward through all the different trials and tribulations of my life, when I took on Fedora's The Web Mob series, Don Nino, it brought back a lot of those instances and memories and trials and tribulations to be able to build that character.
Okay.
So I took a lot of the pain in my life and I threw it into acting. And as far as I call upon those emotions and those, as far as firsthand experiences, to be able to take those lines, as I said earlier, and blow air in the lungs of that character.
Yeah.
And that's what gives him life.
Okay.
And it's fortunately what I try to do when I enter the screen. I try to make it what they call unforgettable and at the same time memorable. So that's what gives me an advantage as an actor.
Okay.
You know, unfortunately, I live the ugly, the good, the bad, the ugly. So that's what helps me being the person who I am.
Nice. Nice. And let's step back a little bit
Sure.
from before the acting, because you started off in sports.
Yep.
How did you get your start in sports? Were you always a jock?
No, not really. My mother put me in sports. My mother got me involved. Fortunately, my mother, she was single at the time, and she thought it would be a good idea.
Okay.
At a young age, 8 years old, I crippled my hand, my left hand. These 2 fingers, I hopped the fence, going to grab a horseshoe, and I broke my arm. I had a compound fracture. The doctor said it wrong.
Ugh.
So she put me in baseball.
That
And
does not sound like the most logical choice.
it's not, it's not conducive for it to catch a glove, because you can see the fingers close, and to try to catch a fly ball. But I'll never forget
Yeah.
the guy when I tried out for the Little League. He says, okay, let's hit a fly ball. He hit a ball to me. I tried to catch it, the glove closed. I caught it in this eye. I picked the ball up, I threw it back in, I had tears in my eyes. He said, let's try it again, kid. Hits it again. I miss it, I catch it in this eye.
I don't think that's called catching.
I caught it well in the face, though. I pick it up, throw it back. He said, let's try a grounder. Hit a 1 hop, it goes under my chin. No, I said, this ain't for me. I throw the ball back in. I throw my glove down. I said, I quit. My mother says, oh, pick up your glove. Get back on the field. Winners never quit, and quitters never win.
Oh, I like that.
So funny enough, I went back on the field. I didn't make the team. I made
Okay.
the farm team. But as I got older, I went to the Little League, and then from there I went to the Senior League. My last year in Senior League, I was 15 years old. It was July 1976. I got picked to be on the All-Stars. My first game, I get chose to start.
Okay.
Exciting. I didn't have cleats like everybody else had, brand new cleats. I had used cleats. And my cleats were coming through my feet because we couldn't afford new ones.
Okay.
I put my glasses down in the dugout. One of my teammates set on my glasses. Now they're all dilapidated. I have to fix them. They're metal glasses. So I put those on. I got my cleats hurt and my glasses screwed up, and I'm crippled in 2 fingers. But I made the team. So we start the game. The second inning comes around. I get a chance to bat. There's a man on second and third. Now, left field was 350 feet. I take my bat. I did swing at the ball on the third, and my bat, and the time I was batting, I hit the first home run ever that was ever took place out of that Senior League.
Oh, nice.
To make history.
Congratulations.
Yes, so congratulations, but also as far as it made my day of redemption to believe that I could do whatever I put my mind to and I put my ability to. So we fast forward to where just last summer, I was inducted into the Baseball Hall of Fame of Silver Lake, where I hit the home run out of. So
Okay.
that story still lives, and my memory still lives. So that is a far cry from the day I wanted to walk off the field.
Yeah, so what made you keep going? What inspired you to say, I have 2 crippled fingers and I have 2 black eyes, and I'm still going to keep trying for baseball?
Well, my friends played, but at the same time, it was something that it was a challenge once again to be able to play something that I didn't think I could do.
Okay.
I wasn't the most liquid, like most kids. They're fluid. They're like poetry in motion. Football was my sport. And, I like undertaking the things that are most difficult. Because if you take on what's most difficult and you overcome that, the easy stuff gets easier.
True. That's very true.
So that's why, as far as instead of just anybody can do the easy stuff, but it's the tough stuff, it's the impossible stuff that makes it all real. And I believe in my life and anybody's life, you can do whatever you put your mind to. The difference is how bad you want it. You know, my hunger comes from within, from down deep, but you can't expect it to come easily. It only comes to the ones that want it most.
And I found in my life, whenever I'm faced with something and I lean into the possibilities, that's when the amazing things happen.
Most definitely. I mean, you're gonna fall, but you gotta pick yourself back up and get back in the race. And that's where my life I've tried to use many different times. You know, where I look at my life, where I started from. Well, I'll tell you a funny story. You know, my dad died, I told you, when I was 8 years old. He left me a pair of cufflinks. One was for my brother, and the other one was for me.
Okay.
And a silver-plated knife. A cuff link I got.
Oh, a cuff link.
A cuff link. I got a set because I was the oldest. I gave my brother one.
Oh, okay.
My grandfather passed, greatest guy in the world. 40 years of working full. Gave me the most love you could ever give somebody. He died, he left me a silver-plated cigarette lighter. I quit smoking cigarettes. So I say and joke about it, when my family tree dies and it dies off, I'm left with a grooming kit. That's about it.
Yeah.
No inheritance, no golden spoon. So anything I have, no matter from my cars to my homes to whatever I own, I went out there and got because I believed I could. And that's what I try to do every day, just chase the dream.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah, so it's, you know, life is a beautiful thing. You got to just stop and take it in. And that's what I've tried to do, you know, being self-taught and being with no father and being out there, being the firstborn out of 4. You know what I mean? I went off to school, I came back home. My mother says, I gave you a bedroom to your brother. So at 19 years old, I had to make a move on my own, not knowing anything. Still today, if you said to me, Billy, how much is in, as far as your checkbook, I could not even tell you because I don't keep a tally. I don't balance it. You know why? I believe if you count pennies, you make pennies.
Okay.
So I just keep putting more dollars in there than they take, and at least I know I'm ahead of the game.
Yes.
So that's my whole philosophy as far as being self-taught and learned, and as well as being able to carry my dreams to where my adversity, as far as I've been, you know, from when I was a kid, just growing up with no father. Instead of saying, why me, I say, why not me?
Yeah.
And that's when any challenge or anything that I really want in my life, why not me? Why, and just like when I went into acting, I wanted to do it. 21, 22 films later, my name's in credits, I'm on DVDs, I've been on big screens, television shows, why not me? So anybody that's out there that faces it, go get it.
I love that. Now, on December 19th, I'm in Providence. I've been told that's Billy V Day.
Yes, it is.
So what are the traditions that we're supposed to celebrate on Billy V Day?
Well, first of all, you get to hang with Billy V. No.
Okay. Sounds like a great holiday.
That was a great day because that day was a surprise to me altogether. I held a major press conference at the Westin Hotel in downtown Providence, and I unveiled a new series. I did a collectible series called Boxing Legends. And on hand, I had Willie Pep, which was one of the greatest featherweight boxing champions of all time, Carmen Basilio, another great middleweight champion of all time, Tony DeMarco and Patty Reed. And I unveiled a worldwide product on a local level. And Buddy Cianci happened to be there. And when he came, and he made it Billy V Day because I brought national recognition to the city of Providence.
Nice.
So that was a great. Well, I didn't realize how big it was till I got a trading card. And when I interviewed Mickey Mantle back in 1992, and right after he died, I seen a card with the mayor of New York presenting him with a proclamation with Mickey Mantle Day. And I says, wow, just think, I'm as cool as Mickey Mantle.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I want my own day.
My ritual on Billy V Day is everybody has to have a great time,
I like it.
enjoy themselves, have a few cocktails, some champagne.
And I think work is no
no,
work.
that's
yeah,
no.
it's a day off work.
Of course.
Paid holiday off work. And yeah, I like it. We all hang out downtown to have some cocktails.
That's it. Cocktails, fun time, whatever you want to do, you do. On Billy
Okay.
V Day, that's for me.
All right.
Just live your life the way you want to live it.
All right.
You know, so that's a great thing for my kids as well as something that I'm pretty proud of. You do your homework.
I do. So what's next for you? What are you working on now?
Well, right now, the biggest thing is I'm working on getting back to where I was. I think I mentioned to you in February, I had an accident, a fall. I fell on my, tripping over a curb, and I got a concussion, tore my rotator cuff and tore my PCL and my meniscus in my left leg. And I'm just getting back into the swing of comfortability. It's been a real trial and tribulation once again. Very depressed because I wasn't able to do the same things I was normally able and capable of doing. So I'm still getting treatment, getting needles in my legs, may face surgery. But I have a couple of projects that I may be facing, as far as one is Chance by Brian Casey, another one's North Atlantic by Adriano Masciarelli up in Boston.
And these are films?
Films.
Okay.
So I'm just trying to get comfortable and happy within my body right now.
Okay.
And other than that itself, as far as I try to find peace within myself, that's the biggest thing, to be able to like who you are. And that's something I can honestly say I do, because I like to share, I like to give myself, I like to give my experiences to other people, because success is no good. Success is only a platform.
Yeah.
Unless you give it away and you can share, because I have people and friends of mine that were more successful than I ever was. And I chased that the first time. When I was in the real estate business back in my early days, I wanted $1 million. Once you saw $1 million, you wanted 2 and 3. And then as far as you keep chasing it from there, I have friends that are very successful, but they're very much alone. So I try to share every time my success becomes available to me. It's a platform that God has given me to be able to give back and give to people that are less fortunate or people that may question themselves.
Well, thank you. Billy, thank you so much for
You're very
joining me
welcome.
today. And thank you for watching the Katherine Cook Show. So what inspires you and what are you working toward? I'd love to hear about it. You can email me at katherine.cook@gmail.com and check us out on the Katherine Cook Show at Facebook. Got more behind the scenes pictures and other information from guests that have been on the show. So check it out. The conversation continues there. Thank you again, and whatever you're working on, remember, you got this.